So the Irish clubs weren't able to take the URC competition, but can the Ireland team defeat the All Blacks? What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. Welcome back to the series that we've been doing where we've been checking out the teams that have been announced for the July internationals. We've done a bunch of them. Wales, Scotland, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. They're all in there. There's so many of them on the go. But today is going to be about Ireland. Now, Ireland, what did I say, about 6 months ago, probably from now, they actually managed to beat New Zealand in what was a brilliant game of rugby. They really took the game to New Zealand, and to be honest, I would say they outplayed them, and they looked really, really good. We fast forward now, they're going to be playing 3 games against New Zealand this summer, and I can't wait for them. They're going to be some of the funnest games, I think, in July to actually cover. Now, this is a game that could well be coming up in the World Cup. They're in Groups A and B individually, but the winner of Group A goes on to play run-up of Group B and vice versa. So there's every chance we could be seeing this game to determine who goes through in the quarterfinals. So this is a big game for both teams. We've already spoken about the New Zealand team a little bit. So we've got to look at now how Ireland are going to think they're going to be able to cope with the New Zealand team. So as we've done with all the other videos, we will chuck the team up on here. We've got 2 separate things for the forwards and the backs. I've been able to actually source some graphics from the Irish Twitter page, which is nice. I don't have to go around and make them all. So what we'll do, we'll take a look through the team, think who's been a good pick, think there's maybe some people have been missed out. And then overall, we'll talk about what I want to be seeing from this Ireland team going up against the All Blacks. So starting off with the props, we've got Finlay Bealham, Tadhg Furlong, Cian Healy, Jeremy Loughman, Tom O'Toole and Andrew Porter. Now, there's a lot of experience in these props here. I mean, we've been seeing people like Andrew Porter, Tadhg Furlong, Cian Healy. There's a lot of caps in this front row. Now, they're obviously expecting for New Zealand to be very good in terms of those forwards, as we sort of expect with New Zealand. The scrimmaging area, the line-out area, those sort of areas are going to be absolutely key when it comes to these games. So having experience, having talent on, I don't think is a bad move. Tadhg Furlong was getting into my team of the week in the Six Nations more weeks than not, to be honest. Andrew Porter's got a really unique ability to swap between tight head and loose head prop, which is just really, really useful to an Irish team. And Cian Healy, of course, although we don't really see Cian Healy playing like a full 80 anymore, but he certainly will come on and put in a good sort of 50 minutes, and he's got a good amount of experience behind him. We've seen him get over that try line quite a few times, so I don't think that's a terrible move there. In terms of the hookers, we've got Dave Heffernan, Rob Herring and Dan Sheehan. Now, Dan Sheehan was electric in the Six Nations. He was probably up there for me for one of my players of the tournament. I was very, very impressed by Dan Sheehan. Every single week, he was just playing out of his skin. He was getting over for tries. He was ruining my fantasy league because I wasn't able to pick him every week. But I think he played absolutely brilliant. I think speed in hookers now is becoming such a key thing. He really offers that, but he's still a big boy. He's hard to stop. I think that's really nice. I think there's 3 good hookers here, to be fair. I think all 3 of them you could maybe look to be starting. It'd be down to people in the comments choice you'd be starting over most. Personally, I think Dan Sheehan's been so impressive. You might be wanting to start with him. I don't think it would be a terrible move to maybe have maybe Rob Herring start and bring Dan Sheehan on later, and just after a couple of those players have started getting a bit tired, have someone like Dan Sheehan on who's going to bring the speed from hooker, speed from the breakdowns. He can just sprint it off and run. I think that could also be a bit of a tactic for the later game. In terms of the locks, then, we've got Ty Byrne, Ian Henderson, Joe McCarthy, James Ryan and Kieran Treadwell. Again, monster locks coming in here. Ireland not really messing around now. It's beginning to feel like we've seen a lot from Ireland now. Getting towards this World Cup in 2023, we're really beginning to see a team nailed down. And where we've seen a lot of other teams have put in uncapped players on, very low cap players, what we're seeing from this Ireland team is they feel like they've got their team together. It feels like they really know what they're doing. We're seeing these names every week now for Ireland in the Six Nations. It's the same going into the summer tour. Again, I mean, right here, Tadhg Byrne, Ian Henderson, James Ryan, three absolutely key players in that Ireland squad, all ready to go again. Kieran Treadwell's been coming into his own. We haven't got to see him enough here, I don't think, in the Six Nations, but he's a really good player. Big, tall lad, but also got good speed as well. I guess Ty Byrne also gives you the coverage for lock and flanker if you need him to, so a lot of versatility there. This is absolutely awesome. As I did say in that New Zealand video, I think line-out is going to be one of the big competition areas, giving you the platform to launch from. We know Ireland are good in terms of the line-out, but also both teams love that 5-meter driving maul. Both teams are absolutely key for using it. So I think being able to dominate in the line-out, if you can steal some line-outs, you could be stopping tries, you could be winning games from being able to defend in the line-out. So I think it's going to be one of the key areas, and I think Ireland have made some good calls here in picking some of the big boys to stay in this Ireland team. On to the back row then, we've got Ryan Baird, Jack Conan, Gavin Coombs, Keelan Doris, Peter O'Mahony, Cian Prendergast, Nick Timoney and Josh van der Fleer. Again, all huge names. This is a big Ireland squad. They are not messing around here. Ryan Baird's been going into his own. Jack Conan, not only playing well for Ireland, but got off with the Lions as well. Did well over there. Keelan Doris was showing off in that Six Nations. Why he's in this team. Can play flanker, can play number 8, and equally good in both. Peter O'Mahony, he's getting on for the years now, getting on a bit of age, but in terms of that sort of captaincy role occasionally when you need him to, but he's been doing pretty well. I actually prefer Peter O'Mahony coming on from the bench. I think he makes a real impact in a game from a bench. I don't necessarily think he's as good as some of the other players that are in the team. Bit of a big call there, but I really think when you bring him on for the bench, 50, 55 minutes, I think he makes a real impact, the wealth of experience, key turnover breakdown penalties. I think it's a really good move. Josh van der Fleer, did Josh van der Fleer get Player of the Tournament? I feel like he was nominated for Player of the Tournament anyway. And then Nick Timoney is not someone I know a great deal about. However, I did pick him in the URC Fantasy League that I played for about 2 weeks, and then I had too much going on, so I stopped. But I feel like every week that I've checked up, Nick Timoney's been my star player in that one team I picked for the whole tournament. So no wonder he's got into this team. I think he's playing on form. I think it's a really good move. Into the backs then, and Ireland decided to swap around the graphic on me, so I'm going to read from the bottom. So in terms of the scrum halves coming in, Craig Casey, Jameson Gibson-Park, Conor Murray. Yes, this is the three we see all the time. This is the three that will be in the World Cup. No need to change. They're not messing about. Craig Casey's probably still the lowest, I would say, number of caps, but he's playing good games at the minute. Jameson Gibson-Park is really giving Conor Murray a good run for his money. They're not messing about here. This is just, again, the solid three scrum halves we've seen. We've seen in a couple of other teams. Scrum halves has been, we had too many named from South Africa. A couple of people have been saying down in the comments. I think they made some big calls in terms of the Wales team. New Zealand have got uncapped players. Not for Ireland. Ireland have gone, we want these three. These are the three lads we're taking through. They know what they're doing for this tour. In terms of the halfback partnerships, joining him in that fly half shirt, we've got Harry Byrne. Ross Byrne. Ross Byrne is just gone, isn't he? What a shame for that. I really like Ross Byrne, and he just never ever really got into that international side. He just never got the game time, and now his younger brother takes over. How about that for you? But nice to see Harry Byrne in there. Joey Carberry. I don't know who I prefer. I guess Joey Carberry's technically the second string, but I think Harry Byrne's been playing well. So, I think there could be a bit of an argument there for who might take over in terms of that second string. And then finally, Johnny Sexton, the captain, who, of course, is going to be starting every game, most likely. There's not going to be any Billy Burns in here. Not sure about injuries for this Ireland team. I've been moving house. It's been hard to keep track of everything on the go. But again, I think three solid fly halves. I think they're really good moves. I think Ireland's just gone for this massive team here. They're really trying to show off. In terms of the centres, Bundy Aki, Kieran Frawley, Robbie Henshaw, James Hume, and Gary Ringrose. So, some key names in here. Kieran Frawley's probably the least experienced coming in here. It's not someone I know a great deal about, but the rest of them, we know what the Ireland centres bring, don't we now? I mean, Bundy Aki and Gary Ringrose are their go-to guys in that 12 and 13 shirt. Robbie Henshaw can play inside or outside centre wherever you need him to. So in terms of like a bench centre, nothing wrong with chucking him on there. I have been seeing a couple of waves from McCloskey recently. I thought he actually played quite well when we've seen him in international. He was away from international for a while. He's come back a little bit, and he's been getting on okay. I've been actually quite enjoying that. Maybe he's just not quite ready to be back in this team. I'd quite like to see a bit more of McCloskey myself. But again, centre partnerships here. These lads have played together for a long, long time. They'll know how to work with each other. It's going to be another key area. I think is going to be that centre. Who's going to be able to dominate the centre area? And then finally in the back three, Keith Earls, Mac Hansen, Hugo Keenan, Jordan Larmour, James Lowe, Mike Lowry, and Jimmy O'Brien. Now, just again, you know what? I think just by reading the names that I've seen from the team so far, of course we've got more teams going on, but I think this Ireland team is probably the biggest team that I've read so far. That might be a big call. I just feel like this Ireland team is beginning to just get nailed down. I mean, who do you even pick in there as a back three? There's so many people putting their names up. I imagine most people want James Lowe on the left wing. And then you've got to fight. You've got to fight for Jordan Larmour and Hugo Keenan can both play fullback. Mac Hansen's been playing wing and fullback. Keith Earls is at a high standard. Andrew Conway not even named in this team. Again, not sure about an injury, but to not be named in a team, I'd hope there'd be an injury, or otherwise, these lads are just showing off. Big names. Jordan Larmour's been off form a little bit in terms of international recently. I hope he gets back into form in terms of that international standard. This is the team to do it against is New Zealand. I think this is a huge team just across the board. I think this is an absolute monster of a team. When I do these videos, I really don't spend a lot of time looking at them. I go and find the graphics and I like to try and do it quite live, quite reactionary to it. I think this is a solid team. And I think as we look towards the World Cup, you'll be seeing these names in the summer tour. You'll see them in the autumn tour. You'll see them in the Six Nations, and then you'll see them in the World Cup. I doubt these names will be changing a great deal, bar injury status going on. I think they've all been able to put their hands up. They know they have to play to a high standard. A lot of these names will have played in that game that beat New Zealand 6-7 months ago as well. And looking towards the World Cup itself, this is a team that I genuinely think has the capability to win the World Cup. I know I've been called out a lot on this YouTube channel for people saying that I've got a favouritism towards Ireland. I support Wales, but I just really do. I think this Ireland team is huge. I thought Ireland could have won the Six Nations. I think in my predictions for the Six Nations in 2022, I had Ireland down to win, even though I was sort of like, it came down to the France-Ireland game. Was the only game that I wasn't sure about, and I thought France at home, probably odds-on favourites, but there's a chance Ireland could win that, and I think Ireland could have won that game. They just decided they just didn't want to, apparently. France played really well and deserved to win that game, but the call to go for the kick at posts rather than the kick to corner when they had all the momentum behind them, it just feels like Ireland don't back themselves enough. And I think they've genuinely got the team here to not just take on the All Blacks, but when you get around to that World Cup, they've got the ability to have a really good World Cup. The areas of the game against New Zealand that are going to be critical for me, the line-out situation is going to be one. You've got to be able to disable the forwards as best you can. And I think Ireland have got a really strong set of locks. New Zealand also have a really strong set of locks. If you haven't seen the New Zealand video yet, I absolutely recommend going and watch that, because I'll probably be saying a lot of similar things, but more breakdown for New Zealand sides. The breakdown area, another key one. Ireland are doing really well in breakdowns at the minute. Just the technique they've been using the breakdown. The box kicking we've seen a bit more. I still think the box kicking needs a bit of work from Ireland, but the way they've been able to actually utilise Conor Murray and James Gibson-Park and actually finding room in the backfield through box kicking and just hitting outside the 22 line. We've seen that quite a lot in the Six Nations. Not doing a box kick that's just high or long or just trying to get someone to chase. They were specifically aiming to hit just beyond the 22, so they can't call the mark and you put big pressure on for the tackles. I can imagine we'll be seeing a lot of that again. If I'm Ireland, I think going into these New Zealand games, you want to take the game to New Zealand. Hands on the ball a lot. Now, I know Ireland have this thing where for some reason they like kicking away the ball. I think they really need to dial down the kicking. The way for me, for Ireland to be able to beat New Zealand is to keep the hands on the ball as much as possible and go through the phases. We saw it in the 2021 Six Nations. There were so many games where Ireland just played phase after phase after phase after phase, waited for the opportunity to kick come up, and then they did it. I don't think we saw that quite as much in the 2022 Six Nations, but I would really like them to move back towards that. Hands on ball, dictate the breakdown, dictate the speed, and then allow some of these backs to go. We saw Mac Hansen scoring that unbelievable try straight from a kickoff and running all the way for the try line. These lads are able to score tries, their forwards are able to score tries, and the people like Dan Sheehan getting in there as well. They've got the driving maul capability. I think these are going to be potentially the best games as a third party viewer, someone that's got nothing backing each team. This is the game series that I'm probably looking forward to the most personally. I just think we're going to have a really, really awesome season for the July internationals. But if you've enjoyed this video today, guys, make sure you leave this video a like and let me know your thoughts on the team. Is there anyone missed off who you wish had got into the team? Is there anyone that's been picked for the team who you think maybe shouldn't have got in? Who do you think's going to win between New Zealand and Ireland? I think they're going to be absolutely awesome games. I cannot wait to see them. If you want to keep up to date with all of the videos that are going to be going on the channel to do with the July internationals, make sure you are subscribed to the channel just so you know when those videos are up as soon as they are up, so you can keep up to date with the channel. I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.